Hello, so today we're going to be making vegan curry buns, and I'm actually doubling the dough recipe from Mary's Test Kitchen. I'm not using her curry recipe because I just don't want the extra protein from the TVP, and I like to have my curry with lots of vegetables. So I'm going to be making a vegetable curry with Mary's Test Kitchen dough recipe, and like I said, I'm doubling that dough recipe because I really like my curry buns to be extra fluffy, doughy goodness. So we're gonna start off with 5 teaspoons of yeast and 2 tablespoons of sugar, and I already mixed that up, so I'm just gonna add it into the bowl. And now I'm also going to be adding 2 cups of almond milk. Now that our almond milk, our 2 cups of almond milk is ready and nice and warm. I kind of overheated it a couple times, so I had to wait, but it's good now, so we're gonna add that in. So our yeast has pretty much all the way bloomed. Now we're supposed to add 1 teaspoon of salt, but I'm making 2 batches, so 2 teaspoons of salt. And 3 tablespoons, or if you're making 2 batches like me, 6 tablespoons of aquafaba or cannellini or white bean juice. And then just mix that up a little bit before you add your flour. And in the recipe, you're supposed to add 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, unbleached of course, but in this recipe, since I'm doing double batch, it'll be about 7 cups, but it'll probably be less. I try to always do less in recipes like this. So once your dough is ready to rise, what you'll want to do is get a wet dishcloth and make sure it's wet with warm water, because if it's wet with cold water, it's going to take your dough a lot longer to rise. And you just place the wet washcloth on top of your dough and then put the entire thing in your oven. And make sure the oven light is on so it stays a little bit warm in there, but not too warm for the dough to rise. And let it rise for at least 45 minutes. You can do it for 30, but that's my phone. Okay, so to start making the curry, you're gonna have to, I already boiled all of my carrots and potatoes, but you boil about 5 potatoes and equal amount of carrots. So you do that, set it aside, and you get your onions to get a little, until they're clear, and you just throw in your potatoes and carrots. And then you put in some corn and some peas. So let me get that. And I just use frozen corn and frozen peas. Looks like I need to buy more corn. Oh well, at least we got more peas. Just kind of eyeball it, put about 1 cup to 2 cups of peas, and then I normally do like 1 cup of carrots, but this time it's about 1/4 cup because, you know, I was running out of did I say carrots? I meant corn, but about 1 cup of corn. And mix that all up. And you won't want to mix this mixture up too much because the potatoes and carrots tend to just sorry. The potatoes and carrots tend to just like mush together, so you won't want to mix this up too much. And then what you'll want to do is get some water. You kind of just have to eyeball it because you don't want this curry to be runny like curry normally is. You'll want it to be like really chunky and sort of like a paste. So what I like to add for my spices is curry powder, and I got this sort of as a present from my grandma's friend. You could use whatever curry powder you like, but this is the brand that I use. And just kind of eyeball it. I add a lot in there because I really like my curry to be really, really, really flavorful. And if you want it to be spicy, I'm only going to add a little bit of it. And cayenne pepper is really good for you. So this is probably like 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon. And you'll want to add some paprika. Ooh, that's a little bit too much. So yeah, about 1 teaspoon of paprika. And about 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. You can use the fresh ginger and saute it with your onions, and the same with garlic, which we're about to put in, but you can saute both of those fresh, but I didn't have any. Well, I do have garlic, I guess, I lied, but it's easier to just not cut up garlic and ginger, so I'm using the powdered stuff. And like I said, and this all depends on personal preference. If you don't like a lot of ginger, actually I probably added about 1/2 tablespoon to, or not a tablespoon, teaspoon to a full teaspoon. But you could do this all based off of your preference. And then I like to add some cumin. And like about 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon. And I like a lot of garlic, so I'm going to do a little over 1 teaspoon. Almost 1 tablespoon, really. And normally I use Himalayan pink salt, but I'm out of it, so I'm reduced to regular kosher salt. I know it's not the best for you, but it's what I have. So, I don't know, about like 2 teaspoons of salt. You might need more, you might need less, and especially if you're doing a low salt diet, you might need less. And I really like now, because the last time I made curry, I used some coconut sugar, and it came out really, really good. So I'm probably going to use more coconut sugar in all of my curry from now on. But you know, do about 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of coconut sugar. And you can leave this out if you don't like, you know, sweet and salty curry. And if you're doing low salt, then you might want to add more coconut sugar to give it extra, you know, sweet taste to it. And mix that up. I need some more water. So I actually added even more garlic, more paprika, and a lot more coconut sugar, because even though I added like 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, it ended up being like decently spicy. I wanted it to have just a little bit of spice, but it ended up being decently spicy. So I added a lot more sweet coconut sugar to combat the spicy cayenne peppers. So it's a lot more sweet and spicy than I had intended it to be, but it still tastes really, really good. And I'm really glad I added more paprika because it gave it, the extra kick that it needed to have. And it definitely needed more garlic. I love a lot of garlic, but like I said, if you guys, want to spice it differently, everyone's curry is different. We have our dough ready. I already kneaded it quite a bit because, like I said earlier, you don't want to add too much flour because your dough just is going to be too tough. So if you wanted it to be more fluffy, by the time it's done rising, your dough is going to be sticky again. So you'll have to knead it out and make it not sticky. And then once it's not sticky, here, let me get another knife. You are going to have to cut this up into equal parts. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I have about 16 dough balls, but that's, you can make a lot more with this. Okay, so roll out your dough to, about this big, and you can have it like different amounts of thickness depending on your preference, but that's just what I wanted. And this isn't the curry, this is my sausage gravy that I'm putting in here. And you just pinch the 4 sides, and pinch the excess 4 sides. Just pinch it all together. Kind of roll it up, and then set it on your baking sheet and let it rise for another 30 minutes, and I'm gonna have to get another moist towel to keep on top of that one. And by the way, when you're working on all of these, you're gonna want to put the moist towel that you were using for the dough on top of all of the dough balls, so the dough doesn't get all crusty and weird. Okay, so this is how the curry buns turned out, and I made the last minute decision to not use any oil in the topping of the curry buns. I did use oil in the topping of the sausage gravy biscuits,